Hi everybody, welcome to Right to the Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, I want to talk to you about how to improve your writing in a general sense and a little bit specific for the IELTS and TOEFL. Now, what we're going to look at is how to write better essays. I'm not going to worry too much about task one. I'm looking about essays. But what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to show you some steps you can take, some practice exercises that you can do in order to improve your writing in a general way. If you're doing IELTS and TOEFL, this is helpful. If you're doing other exams, SAT, GRE, GMAT, whatever, very helpful. When you're done your exams and you're going to university or you're getting a job or you're doing whatever you're doing and you need to write in English, all of this will be helpful for you, okay? Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I get asked often, first of all, how can I improve my English? My writing specifically. But also, quite often, and even recently, someone asked me, how do I write better even though my grammar is good, my vocabulary is good, I know how to read well, I get high scores on the tests, except for the writing section. But when I sit down and I try to put it all together in an essay, it just doesn't work, okay? So I'm going to show you what you can do to get that sense, that feeling of good writing, okay? So we're going to start by mimicking. Mimicking basically means copying or trying to do like someone else who's already done it. And you're going to do this with good quality writing, with good essays, good articles, good blogs even, okay? And you're going to copy them. Now, what are you going to do? So once you find the good material, and I'm going to give you some links at the end of the video to show you where you can start looking for these, you're going to find good quality essays, articles, etc. Then you're going to copy it, okay? But you're not going to copy it straight. You're going to start getting a feel for the writing, how this writer, how this professional writer is making things work, essentially, okay? So you're going to read, you're going to find the article. You probably read it once to make sure that, first of all, you have to like it. If it's a boring article, might not be very helpful. Find something you like, you think is interesting. Then, read the first sentence, copy it down. And ideally, do it by hand. But if you're more comfortable typing, that's fine too. Read the sentence, copy it, read it again to make sure you understand it. Then, read the next sentence. Copy it down after the first sentence, and then read both sentences together. What you're doing is you're looking for the connections between the sentences. How did the writer connect the idea in the first sentence to the idea in the second sentence? And how did he or she progress the argument or the explanation or description, etc.? Okay, then you're going to continue. Next sentence, the third sentence, read it, copy it, read all three together. Notice how the progression continues. Connections between sentences, how one idea leads to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And you're going to do it for the whole paragraph. Then, look at the whole paragraph. How did the paragraph begin? How did it develop? How did it end? Did it set up the next paragraph? Did it come to a little bit of a summary, etc.? Now, here's an example. I took this article, I found an article, I took one paragraph from this article. It's a longer article. This is just one paragraph that I want you to look at. Now, you can press pause or not. You can read it carefully. I will give you a link to this article in the description box if you want to read the whole thing. But I'm going to just demonstrate what I just mentioned before. Here's the first sentence. It's very clear that humans don't experience all that consciousness has to offer. So consciousness has a lot to offer. Humans don't experience everything in that consciousness. Snakes, for example. Okay? So right away, I'm looking into it as an example. So you have to understand what is the writer giving me an example of. Snakes can see things in their field of consciousness that humans can't. So we mentioned all of consciousness. We have the link, consciousness and consciousness. Right away, the two sentences have a logical connection. We're talking about humans and we're talking about snakes, so two different animals or species or whatever you want to call it, in their field of consciousness. So Snakes can do something that humans can't, and we already know that humans can't experience everything. Similarly, and I just put a few more, I don't want to go one by one, it'll take forever. Similarly, dogs. So now I'm using a good transition, similarly, to show you it's the same idea, but I'm using now dogs and I'm using smell, okay? So consciousness, right away you have the idea, includes the senses, sight, smell, touch, taste, etc. I have snakes and sight, I have dogs and smell, and I have humans. So now, logically, I'm going to have to say, what can humans do that these animals can't do, right? Now, this doesn't mean that these sights and smells don't exist in human environments. Of course they do. It just means that humans don't have the evolutionary bodies that can help tap these kinds of experiences. So humans can experience a lot of things, but there's some things they can't experience because we don't have the tools for that experience. And it goes on and on and on. Now, this is the same paragraph. I didn't give you a new one. I want you to notice that this is the 8th paragraph in this long article. The writer used the first 7 paragraphs to give a little bit of background to set up the idea of the discussion, starting to build up what humans can do, what animals can do, what's the differences, and leaving it with now, what is knowledge? So this was all a big setup to explain the concept of knowledge. And then after knowledge, he or she will explain something else. In case you're curious, the title of this article is The Difference Between Knowledge and Wisdom and Does IQ Matter? So I can understand already. There will be an explanation of knowledge, then there will be an explanation of wisdom, probably an explanation of IQ, and then connecting all these things together to get to a conclusion, right? And this is how you build a progressive and a logical argument, discussion, explanation, description, etc. So you're going to basically study how the writers are getting from point A to point B, how they're connecting ideas, what vocabulary they're using, what grammar structures they're using to do this, how they're effective, how they're ineffective, if the case may be. And you're going to practice this, and eventually, the more you do this, the more you'll have a sense of what should come next. You finish writing one sentence, you should feel what comes next. And it just practice, okay? It's going to take some time. You're not going to be able to get this in a week. It's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of practice, but this is how you should be practicing better writing. And a benefit, a side benefit, a bonus, if you will, is you learn how to read better as well, okay? Now, how does this apply to the IELTS and TOEFL for those of you who are going to take the test? Well, you're going to basically be doing the same thing, okay? You're going to find good quality IELTS and TOEFL sample essays. Just do a search online. You can even go to my website. I have a few examples there as well. And you're going to practice taking those essays, breaking them down sentence by sentence, and seeing how they flow from one to the next. Then, get yourself a list of questions. Different types of questions like agree, disagree, discussion with and without opinion, open questions, etc. Get yourself a bunch of questions according to the different topics. Get yourself some vocab, get yourself some ideas for each topic. Again, create an idea bank. Start working on idea banks. And if you're not sure what an idea bank is, there's a link up here. You can watch my video about idea banks. Then, you're going to write essays, but don't write one essay. Write 3, 4, 5 essays. And then at the end, when you're done writing, if you want to do a little bit of editing, that's fine. Then put it away. Put the essay in a drawer, in a book, in a shelf, whatever you want, but don't look at it for a week. 4 or 5 days minimum, but a week is the best. Now, the reason you're doing this is so you can forget everything that you wrote. You can forget about the topic. You can forget about your ideas, your vocab, your grammar. Get this essay or these essays completely out of your head. That way, when you come back and read them, you're looking at them as a reader, not a writer. Because you already forgot everything you said. Now you're reading an essay and trying to assess it, okay? You're going to start breaking down this essay and see what's good with it, what's bad with it. And you're going to rewrite the essay. As you did with the other articles, 1 sentence per line. And then each sentence, you're going to start analyzing. Look for grammar errors, look for vocabulary mistakes, punctuation. Be especially careful with transitions, punctuation, and vocabulary. These are the main things you want to focus on because these are the things that the graders are looking for in your writing, okay? So once you've done that, you looked at the mechanics of it, now it's time to think about the actual content. Start drawing circles or making lines or boxes, however way works for you, but make sure that you can somehow connect ideas from sentence to sentence. If you have one sentence and the following sentence and you don't find anything that connects the two, then they're not good sentences. One of them is not a good sentence. One of them does not make sense in relation to the other. So you need to fix this. There should always be some sort of progression from sentence to sentence, okay? So you're going to do that. Then you're going to identify the main focus of the paragraph. And remember, one paragraph should have one central focus, especially the body paragraphs. So once you discover what is the main focus, then you're going to read each following sentence in that paragraph and ask yourself, does this sentence connect to the main focus? Does it build it? Does it develop it? Do examples support what came before them? Basically, are all the sentences in this paragraph working towards the same focus? Any sentence that is not, either take it out or change it to make it adaptable. If you realize that you have all kinds of ideas about all kinds of different things, and there's no central idea or central focus uniting them, there's a problem you need to fix. Ideally, if you can, find someone else who's good in English, obviously, someone else who can read your essay and give you feedback, tell you what's good, what's bad, what you need to work on, what you need to fix, etc. So I'm going to give you here just a very quick example. This is an essay that I assessed a while back. These are the last two sentences of the first body paragraph, and this is the second body paragraph. I just want to show you a few examples of what you're looking for. So I split up all the sentences into individual lines, and now I'm going to look one at a time. I have lost, so this is an essay about should people study English, is it good to have another language, and what about local languages, etc. More or less, that's the question. I have lost many opportunities in international companies because I am not influent in English. Right away, influent, this is a mistake. It should just be fluent, right? So just take out the IN. Fluent is the correct word. Now, this person in the last sentence was talking about the factors, or in the last few sentences was discussing the factors that make English preferable and how they're affecting local languages. But this person is giving himself or herself as an example of how important English is. But you need to introduce an example, right? You need to say, okay, let me give you an example about myself, and this is what happened. So this is missing here. All these factors that were mentioned in the previous sentences make English more critical than local languages and threaten to demolish them. First of all, demolish, not the right word. A language cannot demolish anything. Demolish is more of a physical destruction. In slang, it could be used as a verbal or language thing, but informal, you can't use demolish here. And here, like the next paragraph, you're going to talk about local languages, what's happening to them. So here you don't really need this part. You just need to say that English is more critical. Now, here, before I look at this, local languages have been neglecting. So first of all, neglecting is the wrong form. It should be neglected. Have been neglecting is an active participle. You need the passive participle. And again, you need to know grammar, obviously, to know the grammar mistakes, but that also comes with practice. So this is the wrong transition because you're not contrasting, you're showing a consequence. Because English is taking over, local languages have been neglected. Okay, so it's a consequence, not a contrast. And you go on, individual each sentence. And I can show you these are the changes that I made. If you want to know all the differences, I put it all together. Notice I used consequently as the transition instead of on the other hand. I took out this part. I introduced the example. speaking from personal experience, I appreciate the value of knowing English as, and then say what happened and why this is a useful example to support your argument. Okay, and you can press pause if you want to look at this more carefully. Now, the last thing I want to mention, so that's your writing practice. The other thing you need to do is you need to read. I mean, there's no escaping that. The more you read, the better your understanding of the workings of the language, and the better your writing will be. Now, people also ask me, what should I read? Realistically, anything. Anything that is interesting to you, okay? It doesn't have to be academic. It could be anything like sports, entertainment, but it shouldn't be easy. If you can read through it and never have to check the dictionary, that's a problem. If you can read through it quickly and understand everything, that's a problem. You're not challenging yourself. You're not improving anything. You're just staying at the same level. So challenging, but not boring, right? So you want to be interested in it. And you should have to use the dictionary. You should be learning new words as you read, okay? Now here are some links to places you can start. The first one is my website. You can find, every week I put an article, just random articles to help you read stuff and learn vocabulary. And then these are all places where you can find essays and articles and blog posts, etc. All good quality. But this is just an introduction. There's tons of stuff that you can go out and read. All these links are in the description box below as well. Now, another thing, if you can find it, there's a book called The Best American Essays. This is 2019. This year's editor is Rebecca Solnit. Every year it's a different editor. Every year there's a new edition. It doesn't matter which year you can find. 2005 is okay. They're still good quality essays. These are very good to read, to practice, to learn how to write better. Now, you can find this for sure on Amazon. If you live in a big city anywhere in the world, there's probably some English bookstore, in some English used bookstore. Go there. I have found this version of this book of different years in many countries. So it's actually quite easy to get to. If you can find this, great practice to do. So now, last point. A couple of last things I want to say. Avoid generic templates. Now, what does this mean? A lot of people, they buy a book, a how-to book for IELTS or TOEFL, and they say, okay, start like this, go like this, go like this, go like this. And they tell people, just apply these structures and these particular expressions and these particular sentences every time and you'll get a high score. It doesn't work this way. First of all, the graders also know these books. They know which templates you're studying. They see which templates you've used in your essay. It's not helping you. It's actually hurting you. Secondly, the template for one type of essay does not work for another type of essay. I've had people who every time they write an essay, body paragraph 1 on the one hand, body paragraph 2 on the other hand. The problem is if you're not contrasting two sides of something or you're not contrasting two things, then these don't work. These introductions to the paragraphs don't work. That's a template. The grader knows you've just memorized a template, hurting you, costing you points. And lastly, don't make mimicking good writing the goal. So at the beginning of the video, I said, mimic good writing and get the feel, get the touch for it, learn how to do it. That's fine for practice. Don't make that the goal. Don't try to copy somebody else's writing style and techniques in your essays every time. Learn from them, but then know how to write well. Don't copy well. Write well yourselves, okay? And the most important thing to take away from all of this is you have to remember that there are no shortcuts. You are not going to improve your writing in the next few days. Probably not in the next few weeks. Give yourselves 2 to 3 months minimum to start showing improvement in your writing, okay? If you're already good enough and you just need a few techniques or you need to know the structures of the test, that's fine. Learn the structures, take your test, move on. But also remember, once you pass the IELTS or TOEFL and you get accepted to university, your writing life has just begun. And the IELTS and TOEFL will seem very, very easy in comparison to what you're going to be expected from, what's going to be expected from you in university. Basically, let's put it this way. A 300 words on the IELTS is an essay. 300 words in university is an introduction to an essay. In some cases, it's a paragraph. Okay, so you have to learn how to write well, because the IELTS and TOEFL are easy in comparison. There are no shortcuts. Practice, write, read, do it again, again, and again. Okay? And that's all there is to it. If you take these steps and if you do the practice regularly, I promise you your writing will improve. It's a hard skill. It takes time. Put some effort into it. You will succeed. Okay. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, please ask me in the YouTube comment section. If you like the video, please give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And come back next week for another helpful video. See you then. Bye-bye.